Hi, group number threes. It's me, Pan42 Tarot, but you can call me Pan. Welcome to this week's reading, which is all about the Lover's card. This is the Lover's card that pulled you all in. This is from my Masquerade Tarot. It's very pretty. And so we're talking about the Lover's card today. The spread that I have for you guys today is 10 cards long. So I'm actually going to pause the video right now so that I can shuffle your cards and spread them all out. And then we will get started. So hold please. Okay, group number threes. So this is your 10 card spread today. It is super big. It is a spread that focuses on the lovers. It's called the Lover's spread for all forms of love. So we're talking about every kind of love today, not just romantic love. This spread actually focuses on a lot of the Greek words for love. I'm not sure if it's all of them. I think it's all of them, but I am not fluent in Greek, so I would not know. So yeah, so this spread focuses on all the different types of love and how we can work on how we love people and how we accept love and what's blocking us from love, that kind of stuff. So just a brief summary of the Lover's card. The Lover's card is card number 6 in the major arcanas. It normally has 2 lovers at the front who are normally naked underneath a bunch of trees, and then the angel is presiding over top of the trees, and normally that represents like Adam and Eve, right? The very first lovers. So yeah, and the Lover's card does obviously talk about romantic love, but it more talks about intimacy, intimacy over partnership, because the 2 of Cups is the card in the tarot that more talks about partnership, and the Lover's card more talks about intimacy and how we let other people into our lives, and how we develop intimacy and stuff like that. And it doesn't just have to be romantic intimate love. It can be like the intimacy we have with God. Like God sees us in every moment, and like that's pretty intimate. So yeah, which reminds me of this song that's funny. If you are not a God person, you might like this song. It's called God is a Bit of a Freak, and it's a great song. Anyway, let us get into this reading, shall we? So the first card in this reading is underlying issues. What stands in the way of love? What blocks you from giving or receiving love openly? So this is your underlying issue with love. And the card we have for you, my group number threes, is, wow, the 10 of Swords. The 10 of Swords, this is the minor arcana's death card. Clearly, he's been stabbed by a shit ton of swords. So, this is giving me a betrayal in the past, especially since this card really looks like it looks like Julius Caesar type thing of like somebody actively getting stabbed in the back multiple times by somebody. I feel like there's been a lot of betrayal in your life surrounding love, and that has made you completely blocked off to the world and people and receiving and even giving love, because we've been hurt in the past and we don't want to be hurt again. So there's this idea in your mind that all love is bad love or bad romance or something like that, like where we have this notion that I'm safer not loving, not being loved, not allowing people to have intimacy with me, whether that's emotional or spiritual or relational intimacy. I am safer, just not. So yeah, that would be a real big block to anybody who is trying to find love in any of the ways. This fear of being hurt again seems to be legitimate. Like, it came from a place of legit betrayal. And because of that, it's really hard to heal from. I'm not saying it's impossible to heal from, because it very much is. But it is a process. It is a long, slow, arduous process. But honestly, it's worth it. Better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. And I know that might not feel particularly true to you in this moment of not having processed this trauma, but I have found it to be very true. So I hope it resonates with you. And if it doesn't, don't like push yourself into situations just because you're like, but I should love, you know? Take care of self. Try loving self first. Let's start there. All right. So, the next card we have for you is work. This is what inner work has still to be done in order to open yourself up to love more fully, or what has to be done in order to maintain love. And the card we have for you guys is the Five of Cups. Okay. So, the Five of Cups is really a self-pity card. This card really talks about how we, as people, tend to see the negative over the positive. We tend to see the spilt cups and not acknowledge the upright cups. So I think the work that needs to be done here is a shift in perspective, a shift in gratitude, maybe. There's possibly people in your life who have not betrayed you, that have stuck with you through all of that, and instead of acknowledging that, we're saying all love is bad love. So there's this need to shift our focus and find the moments and people that are portraying true love to you, because Spirit is saying that they do exist. It just might take some looking. And like, this is not to be like, you should just feel better about the betrayals. No, that's not what I'm saying. Like, the betrayals are real. There's really spilt blood here on the floor. There's real hurt. But don't let the hurt cancel out other people's good. You know what I mean? Like, just because hurt has happened shouldn't take away from the sun, right? Like, just because storms happen doesn't mean the sun doesn't come out tomorrow. I hope that makes sense. I think I've said the same thing about 20 million times at this point, but gratitude journals are nice. I kept mine in a note on my phone, which made it much more accessible for my ADHD brain to be like, oh, I'll just type it on my phone. When I felt a moment of gratitude in my day. And I think if you begin that type of practice in looking for something that made you happy today, or something that you are grateful for existing today, they add up over time, and begin to heal our wounded soul. So let's move on, because we still have 8 more cards to go. So the third card that I have for you guys is the card labeled Philautia, which is the Greek word for self-love. And it says, how do you perceive yourself? This card creates the foundation for all the other cards. What is your relationship to yourself? So self-love. And the card we have for you guys, my group, number 3 is the Page of Wands. Aw. This is a pretty positive card to have in this spot. Because the Page of Wands is very like passionate, happy-go-lucky, always wants to go on an adventure type kid energy. It's this very like, I'm gonna go do stuff because I know that the world is out there and it's big and it's awesome. It's very Peter Pan type energy, if I'm honest. Yeah. Very Peter Pan type energy. There's this want to go and do and have fun and, yeah, explore and all that stuff. So you have this very, I don't want to say high opinion of yourself, but you have a very like, I'm cool type opinion of yourself. You have a very curious energy about yourself. You feel passionate that you're a good person and like that you deserve good things, and you feel like a go-getter type energy about yourself. There's this idea that like, there's this feeling of like, I'm awesome. Of course I am. So yeah, it's a pretty positive, you have a pretty positive self-love, which is great. Good for you guys. That's really all I have to say about that card. It's this very Peter Pan type energy of like, yeah, of course I'm awesome. Why wouldn't I be? Look at all the stuff I can do. I would caution you that like you have value intrinsically, not because you could do stuff, but like that's just one aspect of loving yourself that you could work on. So other than that, you're doing pretty great in the loving self department. So let's move on to the next card. The next card is filial love. This is affectionate love. How do you show love platonically? What is the state of your friendships? So this is our friends love, like Philadelphia, it's Phila love. So your friendships, and the card we have for you guys is the 3 of Swords. So it seems like our friendships are in a bad state of repair at the moment. Maybe this is where the 10 of Swords is coming from. We feel like all our close friendships have either gone away or just left our lives somehow. Maybe we feel betrayed by our friends or something like that. There's some sort of very hurt energy around our friends, around our platonic friendships. Yeah, there's a lot of heartbreak in our friendships. Maybe that's where all this betrayal has come from. All this betrayal energy. We feel like we have been left by our friends. We have been betrayed by our friends. They have caused us so much heartache. And I want to say, like, with the energy of Peter Pan in your self-love energy, I want to say that maybe some of these relationships were surface level anyway. Like, you might have felt like they were a deep, well-maintained friendship when really you had only allowed them to get a little past the surface and not allowed them to get any deeper anyway. So maybe those friends didn't feel that your friendship was that close anyway, so you wouldn't miss them. So maybe we have a bit of a difficulty showing our emotional side. We do a lot of doing and not a lot of expressing of our feelings. Is a message that I'm getting from this. Obviously take what resonates and leave what doesn't, but that's like a message that I'm for sure hearing in here, that there were genuine friendships that may have betrayed you, but there also might have just been like showmance level friendships where you felt very invested in the friendship but the other person didn't, and there just wasn't a communication about how important that friendship was to you, to this person. So there was a missed boat, in a sense. I kind of want to draw another card about this, because I think, like, this reflects the state of your friendships, but I kind of want to see how, I feel like another card is needed to talk about how you relate to other people. So I'm actually not going to take any of those, because as I was shuffling, the cards were like, no, you don't need a card, and then it threw the whole deck at me. So I think it's trying to say I have the answer right here. So I think part of the answer here in how you relate to other people as friends is you might be somebody who relates to people based on your traumas. You kind of overshare with how much trauma, with your traumas with other people, and they overshare their traumas with you, which isn't necessarily the basis of a good friendship. It can definitely like accelerate a friendship into being very intimate feeling, but it doesn't necessarily create a good basis to continue a friendship. To continue a friendship, we need more than just, oh, this shitty thing happened to me in my life, and this shitty thing happened to me in my life. Because as we start to heal from those traumas, you might find that, like, those friends that you bonded with your trauma over are starting, if they start to heal from those traumas, they don't want to, like, talk about it all the time anymore. And it becomes less and less about, their lives become less and less about the trauma that's happened to them. So because the two of you bonded over trauma, they become less attached to you as well. Just a thing to think about. Like, am I oversharing my trauma? Am I developing friendships based only on trauma? If so, like, maybe we need to talk to a professional about that and do some research about it, and also, like, do some more investment into our friendships. Like, do you like the same things I like? Can we spend time together where we're doing other things not related to reliving the past, and create a future together instead of ruminating? Because friendships based on rumination tend to sour, especially if one part of the friendship ends up healing from the rumination, from the thing they are ruminating on, and one does not. So let's move on from that card, because I feel like I've said all I need to say about it. So the next card is Storge. This is familiar love, which is your family love. How do you relate to family? What are the common dynamics within your blood or chosen family? So the card that we have for you guys here is the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands. And I do want to say this card does specifically say blood or chosen family. So, like, if you don't feel connected to your blood family at all, and they're just like strangers to you that have no relation to your life whatsoever, this is talking about your chosen family, okay? So, family-wise, your relationships with your family are magic. Like, they are the wind beneath your wings. They are the flame, the fan to your fire. They are the kinds of relationships that last a lifetime. They are the kind of relationships that pump you up when you're feeling down. They're the type of relationships that support you when you're going through a hard time. They're the type of relationships that guide you in the direction of your passion and power. So I'd say these relationships are looking pretty great for you. And the way you relate to your chosen or blood family have really deep and powerful connections and intimacies. There is a bedrock here of love and passion that you can rely on. So that's nice. I think this is also like bringing in the themes of your Page of Wands. Like your relationship to yourself is fiery, your relationship to your family is fiery. We are passionate people in this clan. So yeah, I think that's all I'm hearing about that card. So let's move on to card number 6. Eros. This is romantic love. How do you relate to a romantic partner? If you have a partner, how would you describe your relationship? If you're single, how do you relate to the idea of having a partner? And the card we have for you guys, yeah, that makes sense, is the Knight of Cups. Yeah, the Knight of Cups is the romance card. They are the romantic one. They are the romantic knight. The chivalrous one, the fairy tale prince. That is how you relate to love. There might be some idealizing here a little bit, I'm hearing. There might be a little bit of the ideal that this person, whoever they are, will solve all my problems. There might be a little bit of that here, but there's definitely this idea that a romantic partner for you is somebody who fulfills romantic fantasy, who treats you like royalty, who supports you and fawns over you and like all this stuff. They are, this is like, the Knight of Cups is like the extreme level of romance. They are somebody who brings flowers and does nice things and says beautiful words and all the things that we think of in a classic romance movie, right? This is man, I am really blanking on some names, but this is like Sir Lancelot, always writing poems, always speaking lovely of Guinevere. Like, yeah. So the question was, how do you relate to a romantic partner? If you're single, how do you relate to the idea of a partner? And if you're in a relationship, how would you describe your relationship? So if you are currently in a relationship, you are very much in the honeymoon stage. We are very much in love with this person. We are very much excited about the romantic possibility in this relationship. So that's awesome. Good for you. Exciting. If you're not in a relationship, this is what you want. You want somebody who's that romantic. You want somebody who's that rose among thorns type thing. And like, I'm not gonna yuck your yum. You go for that. Just like, keep in mind, again, there's like this idea of keeping people at a distance, seeing only the negative. Like, any romantic partner you have is going to develop flaws at some point. Like we're going to see their flaws at some point. And the trick is to love people even though they have flaws, and love this person because they have flaws, because they are a person and not an ideal. They're a real human being. So just keep that in mind as we're chugging down the love train. So the next card, card 7. This card is pragma, which is enduring love. How do you feel about commitment? And the card we have for you guys is the 6 of Pentacles. This is an interesting card to get in this spot, at least for me, because the 6 of Pentacles really talks about generosity and giving to the poor. It almost has this air of like how you feel about commitment is you feel like if you commit to somebody, you are the one giving the other person a prize worth having, right? It's a little bit grandiose, if that's the word I'm looking for. It has this feeling of like, oh, it would be so great of me to commit to this person. It also has this idea that like commitment is a gift that is freely given. But I would like to say that this card in particular, it does have that meaning of generosity and giving and helping the poor and that type of stuff. But it also has this message because of the time the cards were made and like all this other stuff. It does have that other like message of like, hey, why are you giving so generously? Is it just so that everybody can see you giving so generously? Or is it because you truly want to help? Because at the time, like the church really like would give only as a way to placate the poor. They would do it as a means to get more clout. It was not really them doing all they could. It was just to be seen doing the thing, right? So commitment in your eyes is a gift given to someone. But the message here is, okay, it's a gift, but why are you giving the gift? Is the giving of the gift purely for image, or are you giving the gift because you truly want to help or give to this person? It's a motivation to keep in mind, and if we examine our motivations in commitment and realize we're doing it for how it will look, it might not be the right time to commit to a thing, right? Okay, so just keeping that in mind. So moving on to the next card we have is Ludus. Ludus is playful love. This is how do you feel about dating? How do you feel when you flirt? And how do you let out your inner child? This is like puppy love type energy, the playful give and take, flirty love. So the card we have for you guys, my group number 3s, is the 3 of Wands. Ooh. This is interesting because the way you love yourself is very playful, very joyous and like, woo. And the 3 of Wands more talks about planning and calculation and figuring out maps and charts to like go to distant lands. It's much more of a calculated card. And having it here in flirtation, it feels like your idea of playful love is like it's here to get something. It's here to be the start of something. It's a path to get a thing, rather than enjoying the flirtation for the sake of the play, if that makes sense. It's almost like we only let our inner child, we only let out the play at calculated moments. We're really reining in our inner child, it feels like. And maybe that's because of this betrayal. Maybe it's because of how we've been hurt in past relationships. We're really careful with when we let out our inner child. We're really careful when we let out our playful side, because we don't want our inner child, to be hurt. We don't want ourselves taken advantage of. So we're real calculated about how we flirt, how we date, how we put our inner child out on display. Which isn't wrong. This is a natural reaction when we have been injured in the past. But I think there's a bit of spirit being like, hey, hi, you're kind of stifling yourself. You're kind of limiting yourself. You're limiting the passion and pleasure you could be enjoying because we've made ourselves so calculated. And I'm not saying that we should stop calculating, because that's not like the best idea either, but it's more about finding a balance between letting ourselves have fun and watching the motivations of other people. It would be a fun exercise for you to let out your inner child maybe around these safe connections, your found family, your family. Being a bit more playful in those relationships, because just to exercise, let our inner child out a little bit, stretch their legs, because when we do that in an environment that's safe and protective of our inner child, we can have more confidence in letting them out in other places in our lives. Hope that makes sense to you guys. So the next card, this spread was so long, I had to write it on 3 sheets of paper. So the next card that we have for you guys, this card, it talks about mania, which is obsessive love. When does your love go overboard? When have you caused harm with your love? And the card we have for you guys is the 10 of Wands. Ooh. Man, this whole deck has a very S&M and bondage theme to it, which I love so much, and it's so pretty. But it is a bit intense at times. So the 10 of Wands, man, you guys have a lot of fire in this reading. A lot of swords, a lot of fire. Okay, anyway. The 10 of Wands talks about overcommitment. It talks about overindulgence. It talks about being trapped beneath the burden of too many things. It's taking on way too many things. Normally it's a man carrying a bunch of sticks and he's about to fall over. So this card really talks about taking on too much, exerting too much. So when we're talking about when does your love go overboard? When do you cause harm with your love? Maybe it could be a couple of different things. It could be when we take on too many relationships, that we can't possibly invest in all of them. This might be a message for some of my polyamorous people out there. It also means taking on too much of other things so that our relationships suffer, like taking on too much at work and pets and things, and I don't know, all the stuff that happens in our lives. If we take on too many responsibilities, and our relationships will suffer. That's just how it works. Like, just because your responsibilities have multiplied does not mean that the time in your day has multiplied. It does not mean that your responsibility to the people you love has diminished. And like, we can't create more space for stuff, if that makes sense. So the way we have maybe hurt people in the past is like we have laid them to the side, maybe not on purpose at all, but because we have had too much going on. We have had too many things too much going on in our lives, so we cannot focus on any of these relationships. We cannot invest in them because we're too exhausted from everything else going on. And like, that's okay. You're allowed to have too much stuff going on for other people, but it's also our responsibility to let those people know. Like, if you care about this relationship and you care about maintaining a relationship with these people, when we are overwhelmed and we are just like, oh my God, I cannot take even one more thing on my plate, it's important to let those people who we are invested in relationship with know that we're at that point, because it enables them to reach out to us instead of us reaching out to them. And it also enables them to maybe help us take some stuff off our plate, and not take it personally that you're not at their beck and call at the moment, you know? So communication is a huge thing when there's too much on our plate. I think we all probably have too much on our plate because capitalism sucks. But anyway, so that's one of the messages here. The other message could definitely be that we overexert ourselves onto people. Maybe it's that same thing that I talked about earlier of like being in limerence with somebody, which limerence is when you are like so obsessive about somebody who cannot reciprocate your feelings or has not given you any indication that they reciprocate your feelings. It's that what's it called? The love that is not reciprocated. It is when we invest way too much of ourselves before the other person has given us any hope or indication that we should do that. So yeah, this idea that we're taking on relationships as if they were a deep and crazy intense relationship when the other person did not feel that way at all. And then being super hurt when that person just kind of like leaves because they didn't feel that, but for you it was super intense. So that might have been another area in which we've caused harm with our love. More to yourself than to the other person, because if the other person didn't feel or know that that was the level of love in the relationship, then they probably weren't offended, if you know what I mean. Anyway, let's move on to my very last card. Last card we have for you guys is agape love. Agape love is selfless love. How do you express selfless love? What do you give to others freely without expecting anything in return? And the card we have for you guys is the Three of Cups. Aw. This is nice. You give away friendship love, which might be why we've had so many hurt feelings about our friends. This is the type of love that is like celebratory friends, like coven, close inter-friendships. I don't know how else to say that. But you give this joyful, celebratory love to other people super easily. Like if you'd be the friend out of the friend group that everybody wants to tell good news to, because like the way you celebrate them is just like how everybody wants to feel when they have good news, you know? Which is awesome. That's great. Good job. And like, yeah, that's all I have to say about that card. So, the last thing I have to do for you guys, my group number 3s, is I have my new Affirmators Love and Relationships deck. And I'm just gonna pull 2 cards for you, and that's gonna be the end of our reading. Sorry it was such a long one today, but what can I say? There's a lot to talk about when it comes to love in all forms. This deck has a really cool back, so I'm gonna end up showing that to you before I show you the card that you get, but because they're so cute. All right, one more please. This one. Okay. So these are the Affirmators cards you got. Look how cute they are. You got a narwhal and a starfish and an octopus on a rainbow. It's great. Okay, so the first card you guys got is Compassion. And then we also got Receiving. Great. I'm going to read this to you guys, and that will be your reading, all right? So, compassion. I choose compassion over criticism. Walking a mile in other people's shoes reminds me that they might be going through something tougher than I think. Like their shoes are too tight, or they're the kind of shoes that are too casual to be dressy and too dressy to be casual. Basically, I have no idea what they're dealing with privately, so I'll cut them some slack and be thankful for the shoes I've been dealt. And the other card you have is Receiving. I open up and allow myself to receive love in all ways, from all directions. It may seem scary, but it's better than receiving audits, bed bugs, or hate mail. I receive love, and it feels so good that I decide to receive it some more, and then some more, and maybe just a wee bit more. Well, that's all I'm seeing for you guys, my group number 3s. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe because that helps me out so much on this channel. I hope you guys have a blessed everything, and I will see you on the next one. This was Pan. Bye, you guys.